The Cobra-Girl. In a village, a woman gave birth to twins. Her belly had never grown very large, so when she delivered 2 babies, the villagers were astonished. What a strange thing, they thought. But when they saw the children, they understood. The mother's small belly had carried not just a baby boy, but also a Cobra-Girl. Now, you don't have to believe any of this, because whether you do or don't, it happened. These things happen all the time. The world is still a strange place no one can understand. When the woman's family saw the black cobra glisten out of her, they began to scream. "Kill the cobra," they cried. "Kill the cobra. Cobras are dangerous. You'll feed it milk and it'll flare its hood and bite you. Kill the cobra, strike its head with a stick, beat its body." And the baby cobra, frightened by all the noise and rage around her, slithered into a hole in the wall of her birth room and hid herself there. For days, the family watched the hole, expecting her to come out of her hiding place and bite them to death. But she didn't emerge, and slowly the family forgot about her. Those who remembered wondered if they'd mistaken the woman's umbilical cord for a snake and made a hue and cry over nothing. And some came to believe that they'd dreamt the whole episode and were a little ashamed of their foolish imagination. They decided never to speak of that day again. And so it was that the Cobra-Girl became a secret, one more strange thing buried in the belly of the house. Only the mother who had given birth to the babies remembered the little snake. The absence of her reptile daughter left her restless and unhappy. Not for a moment did she doubt that she had given birth to a human boy and a Cobra-Girl, and the more she thought of her Cobra daughter, the more she loved the little snake. And so, every day, after the household had quietened down for an afternoon siesta, the woman would quietly smuggle a bowl of milk into her room and leave it at the hole where the cobra hid. For many, many days, the cobra did not venture out to taste her mother's milk. But hunger is a cruel thing, and a day finally came when she peeked timidly out of her sanctuary and looked imploringly at her mother. The mother broke into tears. "My baby," she cried, and gathered the snake into her arms. The cobra curled and coiled in joy against her mother's body. Thereafter, for several months, the mother and daughter met in secret, and the mother began to carry solid food for her daughter. There was milk still, but also sweet sometimes a preparation of rice. The boy, who was the cobra's brother, played on the mat beside the two. In its own way, this was paradise. The mother, the daughter, and the cooing son. The mother taught herself to be content with this arrangement, and several years passed this way. But with each passing year, the daughter grew more desperate. She could not bear the moments when she was forced to be away from her mother. She hated having to be invisible. She hated her aloneness. Her brother grew older and began to leave the room, rarely entering it except to fall asleep at night. Some days, after the morning chores, the mother would take a break to watch TV serials with the other women in the living room, and on these days she too would not return to the room. These lonely, alone days frightened the cobra, and she hated her life of confinement and secrecy. She hated that her father, a man she thought exceedingly handsome, knew nothing of her existence. She hated slithering back into that damp, dingy hole every time she heard a sound. She hated being so forgotten, and she wondered when she would ever be able to reveal herself to the world. "Please, mother," she pleaded, "let me out of here. This is no life. This is a life worse than death." But the mother was frightened. "Hush, silly girl," she said. "Keep your voice down. If they hear you, there will be hell to pay." So the cobra kept her voice down, but insisted every day. "Please, mother," she said, "put yourself in my skin. What would you do if you were me? Is this a life?" And the mother, who had spent many sleepless nights worrying about her child, finally decided to break the cobra's imprisonment. Indeed, what life did her daughter have? What was the point of such a life? One morning, after her husband had left for the fields, the woman asked the cobra to come out of the hole and sit on her bed. By now, the cobra had grown into an adult. a sturdy snake with a long, black, luminous body and a gleaming hood. In her shimmering skin she looked like a queen, regal and dangerous, though she knew nothing of her power. The mother looked at her and shook her head. "This will not do," she said, and pulled out some silk scarves from her dresser, which she fashioned into long stockings. "Get in," she said to her child, and the cobra glided backwards into the stocking until only her head was visible. "How pretty you look," said the mother. Then she took a needle and heated it over a candle flame. "Let me pierce your hood," she said. She pierced the cobra's hood at the sides and in front and decorated the piercings with gold rings. "Ow! Ow!" cried the cobra. But the mother shook her head. "You look so beautiful," she said. She slid bangles onto the snake's body and a ring onto her tail. When she had finished dressing her, the cobra was as human as she could be. "Now," said the mother, "let us go and meet your extended family." After 6 years of confinement, the cobra stepped out of the room and was dazzled by what she saw. There were pillars holding up ceilings, and windows with flower pots on their sills. There was a corridor that ran along the rooms, and from a rope stretched across it hung wet clothes. There were buckets and taps, and in one corner a nook that held brooms and mops. There were colors everywhere. Yellow on walls, white on ceilings, rusty red on pillars. The buckets were steel, the mop green. The wet clothes dripped like a rainbow. "What a gorgeous place!" marveled the cobra, tucking herself against her mother. Outside, in the corridors and open courtyard, were the family's servants, the in-laws, and the women from the neighboring houses who had dropped by for a chat. They were busy with their morning tasks, washing clothes and vegetables, kneading dough, oiling one another's hair, or simply gossiping. When the cobra entered the corridor, they didn't notice her at first, so completely had the mother disguised her body. But within no time she caught their attention, and they gazed at her and felt an unfamiliar kind of awe. The cobra was radiant and graceful. Her body caught the rays of the sun. She shimmered with gold and silk, and her large, eager eyes beamed happily. "Everyone," said the mother, pushing down her nervousness, "I want you to meet Naginya, a new helper for the house." Those who hadn't as yet noticed turned to look and pulled in a long, blissful breath. They intuited something magical in the air. But having long buried the memory of the cobra's birth, not a single person in the house recognized her. They felt the air crackle and their skin came alive in bumps, and yet none attributed the magic to the cobra. Only Naginya's brother, sitting on the staircase, absorbed in a video game, didn't glance up. Nothing in the world could lure his eyes away from the screen. "A new helper?" they asked, a little dazed by the strange scent in the air. The mother cleared her throat. "Indeed, she is as close to a daughter to me as anyone can be," she said. She laughed nervously and added, "Just look at her, so beautiful and so well behaved. I thought I'd bring her home to help out and bring a little cheer." There's something odd about the girl, thought everyone, but also something utterly mesmerizing. She seems so happy and sweet, and she looks at everyone with such open joy. And her clothes are so finely made, and the gold she wears marks her as someone from an important good family. But no one thought to ask where the girl had come from or how she had appeared so suddenly. "Let her stay and help then," said everyone. "Will she cost us much?" "Not at all," said the mother. "Come," said the grandmother, "help me clean the rice. That boy there is most useless. Just sits on his buttocks all day playing with that infernal thing. His eyes will turn into marbles and his spine into a limp rope. But will he get up? No? Useless monkey. You come, sweet one." And Naginya followed her grandmother. "Chum, chum, chum, chum," sang her bangles as she trailed behind. A little later, an aunt called out, "Come help me spread the tilori on the terrace." And up the stairs went Naginya, chum-chumming away. When it was close to lunchtime, the grandmother called her again. "Will you take the tiffin to my son in the fields? You're young. You'll be swifter than any of us." "Of course," said Naginya, happy beyond words to step out of the house and greet her father face to face. "I'll take his meal every day for you." And that was how Naginya, who had lived in hiding for 6 years, who had slept in a damp hole in a wall all her life, finally stepped out into the world. The grandmother packed roti and tarkari, dal, bhat and achar for Naginya's father, and Naginya balanced the multi-layered tiffin box upon her head and went chum-chumming down the lane. Down the lane she went, past the bus stop, past the tea stall, all the way to the fields where green stalks of wheat swayed in the breeze. Everywhere she passed, people stopped to stare. "What a graceful thing," they thought. "How different she is from any girl we've seen before. Will she talk to us if we speak to her?" This they wondered all along the way. But Naginya had no mind for anyone but her father. "Oh," she sang, as she made her way to the fields. "Oh, like a drop of fragrance I float to my father. Like a flower I perfume the wind that blows upon him. Oh!" Such dreams she dreamt of a union with her father. Such tales she thought she would tell him. And so it was that Naginya became part of her household and the world around it. She was not a full member, of course, for nobody knew her true self, and every night she still slept inside the damp den in the room. But seeing her family, seeing her father, seeing the trees, the buckets, and the dripping clothes made her happy, and she tried not to show her hurt on her face. Every day she helped the women in the house and kept up her cheerful spirit. Every afternoon she carried tiffin for her father, who, though he did not know Naginya was his daughter, grew accustomed to her visits and looked forward to seeing her. And thus the days passed, until one day the owner of the village tea stall grew lustful for the snake. Every day the tea stall owner watched Naginya pass his shop, and a violent desire to do something terrible, something brutal, rose within him. He could not understand why he wanted to crush that simmering body, to hurt it, cut it, destroy it. What is it about this girl, he wondered, as she swayed and glided and moved towards the fields, the tiffin box balanced upon her hood. "Ah," thought the man, crouching behind a stack of crates, "look at all that gold. Look at all that silk, and how she walks, this graceful one. There is something so majestic about her." And all the evil in him began to bubble up. He wanted to grab Naginya and drag her off the lane. He wanted to take her to the shadows. He wanted to rip off her gold, her silk, her bangles, and her ring. He imagined slinging her across his shoulder, carrying her far away, locking her in a room to which only he held the key. He was an evil man with an evil heart, and he lusted after Naginya every day. He followed her stealthily, slipping behind walls, darting from tree to tree, always just out of her sight. And because the world is a strange place, arranged in ways no one can understand, it so happened that all the people who usually gathered around the lane, the bus stop, the tea stall, at the time Naginya passed, simply failed to show up one afternoon. That afternoon the air grew still, the bustle disappeared, and a strange quiet hung over the lane. That afternoon the world rearranged itself so that there was only Naginya with her tiffin and a song, and there was the evil man with his evil heart. He folded himself into the shadows of a wall and waited for her, his breath shallow with anticipation. When she came into view, he unraveled from his hiding place and snatched at the simmer of a gold. Naginya froze. Her supple body tightened, and a wail tore from her throat. "Hi, hi! Mair dilkai! Mai, Gimai!" she cried, twisting and thrashing against the evil man, calling desperately for her mother. "Gimai!" she wailed. "Gimai!" And her cry rent the still, quiet air. Her voice rode the currents of the wind and reached her mother, who was in the courtyard of her home shelling peas. The sound struck her chest like an arrow. She looked up and frowned, then threw the peas aside and ran out of the house. She ran down the lane, past the bus stop, and reached the tea stall with its low wall. There she saw the man, the one who had ripped the silk off her daughter's body and stripped her of all her gold. Black bangles lay scattered on the road, and her ring gleamed on his finger. Naginya's long black body trembled, cowering before the evil man. "Naginya!" cried the mother. "Bite the evil man! Bite him!" But Naginya, who knew nothing of the venom in her fangs, stared helplessly from her spot. "Daughter, rise to your full height and slay the evil man!" shouted her mother, her voice shaking with desperation. And though the snake knew nothing of herself, nothing of the force in her body or the poison in her bite, she attempted to do as her mother asked. She stirred, and her body uncoiled with a sudden fluidity. She surged forward, muscles rippling beneath her scales as she flared her hood wide. And in that instant, she felt the power of her own motion, the grace and force of a strike. The evil man recoiled, his fear now palpable. But Naginya, still unaware of the full scope of her poison, continued to advance. "What is this thing?" the man shouted, stepping back and flinging the gold and silk onto the dusty lane. By now, the villagers, who had so mysteriously been absent just moments ago, began to emerge from their houses. One by one, they gathered around the snake. They stared at the Cobra-Girl and the evil man, eyes wide with surprise and unease. "What is this thing?" they whispered to one another, their voices shivering. The mother stepped up then. Her body trembled and shook, but her voice was steady when she spoke. "This is my daughter," she said. "She carries enough venom in her fangs to destroy the entire village. Yet she is gentle, kind, and full of love. Is there a place in this village for a daughter like her?" A deadly silence fell upon the crowd. No one knew how to answer. The evil man sensed an opportunity and began his own cry. "Kill the cobra! Strike its head!" Naginya turned to her mother then, and when her mother gave a single nod, Naginya sprang. Her fangs found his neck, and the man collapsed, foaming at the mouth, dead before he hit the ground. The villagers gasped. "She has enough venom in her to annihilate the entire village," they whispered, backing away. "We cannot have her here. We are afraid of her, and we cannot live with that which we fear." And so the mother and daughter were banished. They walked into the jungle that fringed the village and never returned. It is said they live there still, and that Naginya watches over the village, though I think that is just delusional thinking. Why would a banished serpent watch over a cowardly village? Why wouldn't she simply destroy it instead? But who am I to pass judgment? Every Nag Panchami, the villagers carry bowls of milk to the path that leads to the trees. They leave the bowls on the ground, eyes lowered, hands shaking. They tell their children stories of the snake girl, but no one speaks of the banishment. That, they say, is not part of the festival. Only the boy sitting on the stairs, playing video games on his phone, is oblivious to all that has happened in his miraculous life.
You've just listened to The Cobra-Girl by Smriti Ravindra. This story was read to you by the author. Smriti Ravindra is a Mumbai-based Nepali writer. She is a Fulbright scholar and holds an MFA in creative writing from North Carolina State University. Her full-length book, A Bad Boy's Guide to a Good Indian Girl, co-authored with Annie Zaidi, was published by Zuban in 2010 and was released in the US by Harper Via in summer 2022. Her debut novel, The Woman Who Climbed Trees, HarperCollins, was published in February 2023. Her works have appeared in various magazines, journals, and newspapers in India, Nepal, the US, and Australia, including in Fabula Argentea, 42 Magazine, Pratalipi, Analema, Out of Print, and Westerly Magazine, among others. To find out more about Many Worlds, check us out at manyworldsforum.com. Thank you for listening to Many Worlds.